Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, The Statehood Day of Manipur, reflecting on violence, genocide, and the struggle for justice. I'm your host, Heman, Senior Research Associate at South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. And let me just say that it is an absolute honor to be moderating this important conversation with all of you. First, I would like to say a big thank you for joining us today. I know everyone got a busy schedule, but the fact that you have chosen to be here speaks volume about the commitment to justice and human rights. So, congratulations to all of you for showing up for this critical dialogue. I would get straight into it. Manipur. It is a region known for its rich culture and the history, but it also is one of the state that have faced its fair share of challenges. The challenges that we can no longer afford to overlook. I would like to set the stage for some context. Manipur attended its statehood day on January 21st, 1972, a day of political trump for sure. But as with many milestones in the history, there is a lot more beneath the surface. Over the decades, this state has witnessed a troubling mix of ethnic violence, military intervention, and systematic marginalization that continues to affect its people. But I would like to give you a quick reality check that Manipur even today remains a hotspot for human rights violation, which includes the enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings and the controversial armed forces. Is that you many of you are aware of that. This is draconian law that has given the military a sweeping powers and left many communities in Manipur scared for generations. And so all of this, what stands out is the resilience of Manipuri people. Their underlying fight for justice, peace, and dignity. And today we are here to talk about it, to reflect, to question, and hopefully to inspire action. Uh, you know, uh, Conversations like this deserves nothing less than the best minds and voices. And honestly speaking, I'm a fanboying a bit over the panel we have got today. First up, someone who needs no introduction, Irom Chanu Sharmila, known for the Iron Lady of Manipur. She has been a face of the resistance against the armed force for over the 16 years. Irum's journey of courage and resilience has inspired people worldwide. I would like to thank you from bottom of my heart that thank you for being with us today. Alongside with her, we have the Irfan Engineer. Irfan is a human rights defender, scholar, and he's also a director of Center for Study of Society and Secularism. His work on conflict resolution and justice for marginalized communities in India is just outstanding. Irfan, I believe we are so lucky to have you with us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, let's jump right into the conversation. Iram, let me start with you. Your hunger strike against the army was not just a protest. It became a symbol of resistance and the hope for many people. Would you like to share some of your reflections on how statehood sponsored violence has shaped the lives of Manipuris people? What role do you believe civil societies play in resisting such violence and advocating for justice?
Thank you for inviting to this webinar talk or conversation. Is for why I want to join to this conversation. Mainly, people of Manipur for so long continuation of this violence, 18 months. Back it was started, now still going on, and as you know, Manipur is one of the three poorest states of India. Because of geographical condition, livelihood there is already been very difficult, and say Manipur's history, that invasion by the British force from 1891 to 1948, around that. Then India's that annexation, the that signing on instrument of accession by force, signed on by the then King of Manipur, Maharaja Bodhisandra, then became Union Territory of India. Then in 1972, and then becoming of statehood. Uh, it's just controlling of the state about the economy of the state. Nothing changed. But before, what it was kingdom, though already poor, it was self-dependent. Now it's still become a part of India. Still no industry, and because of adopting the new Indian constitution, people there because of unequal land distribution, unequal resource distribution, and there that fighting they created the fighting. Now with that controversial Black Law of SPA Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which was first created by the British colonizers, just changing name only, still applied to the mainly Northeast people and Jammu Kashmir only. Now people there say that it's need violence in between two big communities. Outsiders just think it's uh, fighting between themselves. They just think that way. Now, and the problem is because of the fight that uh, fleeing to outside Manipur, it's over 50, 60 thousands in thousands now in relief camps, or how they are survive, and this displacement, inter displacement, all because of all these happenings and the killing between this community, in between these communities. Now is really sorry state. Farmers can ripe their crops or growing, but ripening just because of life and death condition. Is Manipur is a agro-based country, state, and as for power supply also just local hydroelectricity project. It depend on their it depends on climate change, everything. Life is really difficult. How the main challenge there is survival, and youth, because of this uh, insecurity and tension, all because of all these, uh, say, just enter into underground, or life is really horrible, numbness, uh, half dead way, drug, that way, living life. There, I just feel really sorry. Our Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister, he himself can feel Manipur belong to India, that kind of just controlling in an aquarium. They see everything, how in an aquarium there are a bunch of moths fighting for their life, how they survive, why they fight. They know everything. He need to intervene. He is a real federal leader of the country. Really, it feels sad. Journalists are scared of going to their reporting about riskiness because of protected area permit system. Foreigners can enter there. So what's going on there? No one knows. That real happening. I just really feel sorry. That wouldn't happen to any men's Indian state. That kind of say just now though the state rejected the APSPA and new disturbed area status imposition, and the central government just overruled everything of Manipur now. Situation, the solution, what I think of is until 1949, October 15, Manipur was yeah, kingdom. So people in Manipur, mainly those say Manipur's 2,000 years old history of kingdom, people love their monarchism still. So this political leadership role thing, no one believe in the political leaders. So this, because of this ethnic diversity, there the leadership role need to be say they I mean say the as for example the big community Maitai, Kuki, the fighting is in between these communities, and the chief minister is now Maitai. He himself think one-sidedly. That's my opinion, or others would see on their own view. So Cookies don't believe in his leadership. And there are Nagas and the Maitai Pangals, there are other, those who are not belong to neither to Nagas nor to Cookies. Several some tribe groups also there. So if the Manipur's descendants now still the titular king, it's just my suggestion, if he rule and bringing back those fled to outside Manipur, thousands of refugees who become refugees now, bringing back to Manipur, and adoption of Manipur's own constitution, how to live, survive in such situation, like otherwise how to survive, how to manage life, I really don't know. Just killing each other, this mutual hatredness, lack of trust is really high there. The survival thing is if the main thing central government can do now is prime minister's direct approach. His intervention is showing Manipur is a part of India. I am the leader. This is my responsibility. Like that kind of intervention is needed of. I don't know. I feel really sorry how they live. It's already been very poor. Really, it's very poor. They're surrounded by hills now. Cookies are scared of going freely to Impal or for their livelihood, and Maitais can go to their remote area fields for growing, reaping crops. They can do, and that trade to neighbor state country Myanmar, that meant trade now because of this trade can go. There is no source of income, and extortion become a source. Is really horrible. It's really horrible. So my point, I am just wondering, this statehood, is the question of celebration of this statehood. What's the point? Question is.
Thank you, Iram. We can totally understand the crisis that Manipur is going through. The resilience that you have shown in the face of such adversity is something that inspires not just people in your region, but also across the world. Your words today bring to the light the struggle that often go unseen and unheard. The pain, the fight for justice, and the hope for the peace. These are the realities that many of us cannot even begin to comprehend. Yet you are here continuing the lead the way in this battle. Thank you for being a beacon of strength for all of us. Moving ahead, let's bring you into the conversation, Mr. Irfan. You have seen firsthand how systematic violence impact communities, not just in Manipur but across the region. You have extensively studied the socio-political dimension of violence and justice. What do you think are the biggest structural issues at play here, and how can we even begin to dismantle them? Over to you.
Thank you, Heman, for having me in this conversation. I thank SARIM also for inviting me. But I would like to add a caveat. And the caveat is that I am not a stakeholder in this entire conflict that is taking place in Manipur now. My stakes, I'm based in Mumbai, which is, if Manipur is the easternmost part of India, Mumbai is easternmost part of India. So that distance, I'm that far away from Manipur. The conflict didn't affect me in any way. But of course, I am the stakeholder in this conflict in the sense that there should be peace in India, that Northeast is part of India. And normally, India outside Northeast tends to ignore or marginalize Northeast. The news there rarely comes into Indian newspaper, media, or in Indian thinking. Normally it is Northeast where Manipur is just conflict is going on in this state, and people of India should get involved in peacemaking, in ensuring that there is peace, in ensuring that there is pressure on the government of India to intervene and to take steps to restore peace. So my stake is only as an Indian citizen and only to that extent. Whatever I'm going to speak here is not necessarily my opinion, because I should be having none. I should not be having any opinion. But I'm reflecting the voices of people that I heard in Manipur. That's how I would put it. To give a little bit statistics for the audience to understand, that Manipur is one of the easternmost state of India, Myanmar. Myanmar has a lot of issues and problems, and the trade, drug trade, and etc. All kinds of issues. Conflict in Myanmar reflects in both Mizoram as well as in Manipur, because there are cookies on both sides of the border. There are cookies in Myanmar along the border region. There are cookies in Mizoram and Manipur. So that these borders divide Kuki community three ways: Mizoram, Manipur, and Myanmar, and between two states. So this is one aspect. The other thing that I would like the audience to take a note of is that there are 34 significant communities, Minorities, Nagas, Kukis, and there are other small communities. There are 34 in all. So it has rich diversity. The population of Manipur is 3 million. And right now, there are about 60,000 central armed police force in Manipur. This is besides the state police armed force. So 60,000 centrally armed police forces to a population of 3 million. Manipur is a state which has some history of anti-colonial struggles. Subhas Chandra Bose's army, Azad Hind Fauj, marched into India through Manipur and Imphal. That's the first state where the fight between Subhash Azad Hind Fauj and the British colonial army took place during Second World War, during the end of Second World War. And as Irom pointed out, that initially when India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Manipur declared itself to be an independent state, a constitutional monarchy. The king, Maharaja, was president of that independent state, and they formed a constituent assembly to draft a constitution. So until 1949, Manipur was an independent state until what Indian state says the accession treaty was signed, and what people in Manipur say that it was forcibly annexed to the territory of India. Now, which version is correct depends on which part of the country you are situated in. Now, this accession treaty or annexation, however you may look at this state, triggered off violent militant movement for independence of Manipur. And that went on till very long time. In fact, it's not yet fully suppressed. Some of the militants went to Myanmar, crossed the border, went to Myanmar, armed themselves, and are waging their battle from there. So there is militancy. There is that attracted central armed forces, including Indian Army, Assam Rifles, and the violence, as Irom was pointing out, violation of human rights, suppression of people, violent suppression of people, violation of human rights, imposition of Armed Forces Special Power Act, through which the soldier or even a constable gets immense power to enter into any home without warrant, arrest anybody without warrant, and even kill people if necessary without warrant. And those powers have been misused. People of Manipur have fought against those violations of human rights. And Irom, as we all know, observed a hunger strike, fought in Ganjanwe for years and years together. But unfortunately, demand of people of Manipur, withdrawal of Armed Forces Special Power Act was not withdrawn. It was withdrawn after this government came to power for a short while. But again, there's conflict right now between two major communities, Meiteis, which are based in Valley. Valley constitutes about 10% of Manipur area of Manipur, the state of Manipur in area-wise. It constitutes of 4 districts, but now new districts have been created, and I think there are 6 valley districts now. And this valley is surrounded by hills. And in hills, Kukis and Nagas, these are the major tribes that inhabit the hill. Now, this so-called independence or separatist movement by Indian state was by dividing, following the British policy of divide and rule. First, they divided Kukis and Nagas, and there was a insurgency and fight between Kukis and Nagas versus Meiteis, and latest from 3rd May, we see Meitei versus Kukis. Now, this is the way they want to solve the problem of insurgency in Manipur, because in spite of violation of human rights, in spite of using centrally armed police forces, the problem was not solved. The problem was not getting solved. So they decided, Chief Minister of Manipur or the BJP, after getting elected in 2014, decided that to somehow divide Kukis and Meiteis. After getting elected in 2017, the Chief Minister made series of anti-Kuki statements that Kukis are they grow poppy, they are involved in poppy trade, that they are outsiders coming from Myanmar, they are refugees, and they are marginalizing, they are increasing demographically, etc., etc. These kind of series of vilification campaign against Kukis was going on. And then suddenly on 3rd May, after a judgment of Manipur High Court, because of lack of time, I'm not going into details. Suddenly, when Meiteis demanded that they should have scheduled tribe status, the conflict erupted between Kukis and Meiteis. So this is the root cause of Now, Maitis on one hand want integrated Manipur. That Manipur state should remain integrated. That's what Maiti demand in this entire conflict is, which is right now going on. Chief Minister has become voice of the dominant Maiti society, which forms about 54% of the state's population, according to, and there are, as I said, there are 3 million, the Manipur population consists of about 3 million. 54% of this population is Maitis, and Chief Minister Biren Singh must be politically trying to become voice of this majority Maiti community. So, and he reflects those positions whenever he speaks, whenever he talks, whenever he addresses the press. You can see that he's siding with one community. So, if he becomes representative of the majority community, now Valley has 60 assembly seats in Manipur. Valley has 40 assembly seats, and the 50 assembly seats. So if you can win all 40 or substantial number of Valley seats, then you are already a majority and you do not require Kuki or Naga votes. So that seems to be happening now. If you see, if you go to Manipur, you will see hill regions are extremely backward. Hospitals, institutions, colleges, universities, everything is situated in the valley. Valley, as Irom was saying, that there's problem of livelihoods and jobs, economy is backward, and she's absolutely right. And this conflict is also because there's no development in that state, or very little development in the state. It's mostly agricultural dependent, somewhat tourism dependent, and trade. Now that trade also has stopped with Myanmar, etc. So it's extremely, even in this backwardness, the major developmental funds are spent in the valley, and the hills are even more backward, even more ignored, even more backward, so on and so forth. And so Maitis want integrated Manipur so that they can continue to monopolize over the budget of the state, have majority rule in the this thing, etc., etc. Cookies, now the conflict after 3rd May 2023, it's 19 months now since the conflict between Maitis and Cookies erupted. The situation now is 258 people, according to the newspaper reports and even according to Chief Minister's press conference statement. 258 people have been killed out of 3 million. 258 killed in the conflict is a huge, massive number, if you can understand. 60,000 people have been displaced. Cookies were expelled from the valley, and Maitis from hill regions, their houses were burned, destroyed, and they were forced to migrate from Kuki dominant hill region to valley. And this led to 60,000 displaced people out of, again, 3 million. It's a huge number. And these 60,000 people are living in absolutely miserable condition in relief camps. I visited some of the relief camps, and to tell you, I won't be able to describe because of lack of time, but in short space of 10 by 10, there could be as many as 14, 15, 16 people living, and 2-3 families together in one cubic, which means you had to, and they were housed in colleges or schools or institutions that were available in the halls and classrooms, etc., etc. So when they were housed there, so many people living together, 2-3 families living together, men, women, all living together. You need to change. Women have their own problems, monthly periods and cleanliness, etc., etc. And one relief camp we went to, it was housing a little less than 1,000 people, but there were hardly 8 to 10 toilets. And you can imagine 8 to 10 toilets between 1,000 people living in that relief camp. Women, children did not get milk and food. Women said they actually control their diet because they didn't get to visit toilets. They weren't adequate, and the way they controlled. So it was a horrible condition. 386 religious institutions, worship centers were damaged. Mostly churches, over 300 churches, and the other some Hindu mighty religious worship institutions were also damaged. Now, this is cookies want. Cookie said, now there is not a single cookie in the valley. All cookies were expelled from the valley, and they are in hill regions where cookie majority is. So, and because there is no development in the hill regions or of the hill regions, politically they have been marginalized. Their representation has been marginalized, etc. Situation is such, one or two measures I would tell that is going on. Situation is such that even a cookie minister or cookie MLA cannot participate in cookie legislative assembly proceedings. I asked one BJP MLA, ruling party MLA. I wouldn't like to name him because he didn't want to be named, and he was a cookie in Hill. I asked him, why didn't you go for legislative assembly session, which is in Valley, Imphal Valley? And he said, do you want me to commit suicide? So cookie BJP MLAs were beaten up, ministers were beaten up, all cookies having their jobs in the valley, police force or whichever government jobs they had, they cannot go and serve there. Cookie students cannot go to Imphal Valley and for university exams or competitive exams, which are all held in the valley. So the situation is very dire. It's actually I would say atom bomb. The other thing, there are borders within the state that divide the hill and the valley regions. No Maiti can go from valley to hill, and no cookie can come from hill to valley. Airport is in the valley. If they have to travel outside, they cannot, and there are no railways. I mean, railway network is very poor or next to none. So travel by air is the only mode, and a cookie cannot land in Imphal Valley Airport. He'll be killed the moment he steps out of the airport. So they have to travel actually from Churchandpur, Imphal Airport is should be just 1 hour's drive, but they have to drive 16 to 18 hours to Aizawl in Mizoram, the nearest airport. Essential goods cannot travel. There are buffer zones, and rings of security forces man those buffer zones. No cookie will be allowed to go to the valley and Mighty to the hills. They separate both this. And if by mistake a cookie meanders into valley because of mistaking the region, or Mighty meanders into hill, border towns of the hill by mistake, they will be killed. And they have been killed. They have been killed in the past. There were a number of incidents, and one famous incident, I mean, not famous, infamous incident on 4th May. 2 cookie women were raped in the valley, and they were paraded naked. And those who were parading them and raping, and it was mass rape, they were assisted by Maiti women, Meera Paibis. Actually, they are known to fight for human rights, against forcible oppression, resist armed forces and their atrocities. And unfortunately, they were assisting in this. The video was circulated, and that shocked the conscience of the country that this is what is happening. After that, also there were rapes, and not just. We met a women's organization in the hills, and they told us that they have reports of more than 33 women being raped, having been raped in this conflict. So this conflict is a massive conflict. It's a civil war. And in spite of presence of 60,000 Central Armed Police Forces, last year in 2024 alone, when there is supposed to be post-conflict and peace, the Chief Minister says there's relative peace, but in this relative peace, we monitored, our center monitored that how many deaths were reported and how many injuries were reported. 81 deaths in 1 year's time. This is in spite of separating the cookies and the Meiteis, separating, keeping them apart. In spite of that, militants come and sometimes fire on people. Security people fire on militants. Sometimes there have been an incident in which militants fight amongst themselves and kill each other. So all kinds of this thing has taken place. Even Meiteis are tired of this conflict. They want solution also. When we last went to Manipur, every Meitei we talked to, and we talked to cross section, students, youth, women, journalists, academicians. We talked to a cross section. Everybody was against the present Chief Minister Biren Singh. Some were also against BJP. In November, Meiteis actually in the valley burnt houses of MLAs and ministers, and in fact also attacked Chief Minister's house. Now this is Meiteis attacking, which shows that even they are not happy about the situation. It's high time peace negotiations should take place. This government, both central government as well as state government, has done next to nothing. No serious attempts have been made. There's a civil war for over 19 months, and no attempt to reconcile. The only way they want to tackle this conflict is by placing more and more armed forces. And last year we have seen that no matter how many armed forces you place, because of the terrain, hilly region, because arms are freely available, international borders, free floating arms, because of this, there's no way you can control the conflict or establish peace through brute force by centrally armed police forces. There has to be a dialogue. There has to be a political solution. No serious attempt was made. One attempt was made in Delhi. Some perfunctorily Meiteis and Nagas and Naga representatives, Meitei representatives, and Kuki representatives were called to Delhi. But they didn't sit together in one room. Kuki representative said, we cannot sit with Meitei representatives in the same room. Unless our demand of separation of state, separation of administration, union territory. They are demanding union territory. They said this ethnic cleansing is complete. All Kukis are in Kuki majority area. Now we want a self-administration, autonomous region, union territory. And unless our demand is accepted, we won't sit in the same room for negotiation. So this is the situation, and nobody knows way forward. But of course, we can think of way forward, and it's our civil society must step in now to raise their voices against human rights violation on one hand. AFSPA has come back in 6 police station areas in 5 districts of Armed Forces Special Power Act, which gives immense power to security forces, has come back now, and the situation is horrible. Heman.
Thank you, Irfan, for breaking down the full story of Manipur so clearly for someone who might not be familiar with the challenges unfolding in the region. I appreciate your ability to connect it with the historical, social, and political dots that gives us clear picture and understanding of why this situation has accelerated and what's truly at stake. As we reflect on what Irom and Irfan just shared with us, it is clear that the challenges in Manipur is facing a deeply rooted in history, policy, and societal dynamics. But they are also very immediate. Real people are being affected right now. What an incredible discussion this has been. I want to give you a massive thank you to our speakers, Irom, Sharmila, and the Irfan Engineer, for sharing their powerful insights. Your words remind us that these conversations matter us the most. And to our audience, whether you are in Manipur, somewhere in the India, or the halfway across the world, thank you. Your presence here matters. It shows that people here that the struggle for justice in Manipur is not just their fight; it's our too. At last, I would like to say that don't let this conversation stop here. Talk more about what you heard today. Share it, start conversations like these in your communities, and most importantly, let's do what we can do to amplify the voices of those fighting for justice in Manipur and beyond. Take care, stay safe, and keep questioning and keep fighting for what's your right. Until next time, this is Hemanda signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, Heman, for having us. And it was a pleasure to be on the same panel with Irom.
Yeah,
Thank you.
understandable. Thank you.